Ask any retiree their biggest regret, and two answers come up again and again. Number one, not saving enough soon enough. Number two, not taking care of their health. But here's the thing, those are just the start. There are many, many more regrets people don't realise until it's too late. In this video, I'll share the most common retirement regrets and how you can avoid them. Recently, I've been back to the UK and talking to a lot of older people like myself about regrets they have for their younger self, and the main one, the first one is, not saving enough, not starting to invest money into their pension young enough. It's a massive regret of most people, I think. And when I was younger, I remember my dad telling me, he was like, son, get saving, start putting a pension away. And when you're 18, 20, 25, this is not the most important thing in life. You don't really think about it at this age. And, some old guy, like your dad, tells you to do something. You don't always listen, unfortunately. And that's what happened to myself. And I think this happens to a lot of people. Number two would be neglecting your health. Now, for me, this is not an issue. I've always been very, very healthy and always been into exercise since I was young. But for many, many people, they don't get active until, after 40 or even 50 or even later sometimes. And they're like, God, why didn't I start this earlier? Because, after 30, it's all downhill. So they say. 90% of my channel are male, so I'm kind of talking to you guys. But your testosterone goes down. It starts lowering as soon as you get over 30. You start losing muscle mass as soon as you get after 30. It's absolutely ridiculous. So that 30 to 40 is critical, to actually start doing some exercise to keep some strength. Because, a lot of people, when they get older, they fall over, and that's how they end up, messing themselves up, really, when they're older. So you've got to keep really good strength in your body. And it's a massive regret of a lot of older people. They wish they'd started to stay healthier sooner, because then, they've got to pay more on medical care, and, things have cropped up like diabetes, and they put a lot of weight on, and then it's really hard to lose a lot of weight. And most guys I know, and women, over 40, they are not in good shape. I mean, I'm okay. I look after myself. I am the except. I'm not normal. I realize that. I look in, all my friends, and all of them have got little bits of beer guts. They've got, bit too much flab everywhere. And it's like, they try and, people are more aware now. They're a bit older at 40, 50. Most people are aware that, oh God, I need to start looking after my health more. But, I think this is a massive regret of a lot of people. And the problem is, people don't really enjoy exercise, and that's the problem. For me, I was quite lucky. Exercise has always been a hobby since I was teenager. So, it's always been fun for me. I never not enjoyed exercising, which is very unusual. I know a lot of you guys probably hate exercising. A lot of my friends I talk to, they exercise because they have to, and they want to try and keep fit. They don't really enjoy it that much, and that's a bit of a shame. That's why if you're trying to keep fit when you're over 50, try and do some kind of something you enjoy with other people. Have you noticed that in your joints when you get to 50? You can't, your body doesn't quite move the same as it used to move. And your body's less flexible. I see my old man now, he's in his 80s. And yeah, he had a physical job all his life. He was a farmer. But, when he crouches down now, I'm like, oh, geez, man. He struggles a bit, crouching down. He can't really crouch down. And, struggles. He's not too bad. He's pretty healthy, actually, my old man. But, his joints are a bit achy, a bit creaky, like they would be at 80 when you've had a physically active job all your life. And, I say to my mum and dad all the time, try and keep active, even into their 80s. And yeah, they're in the garden all the time. And this is a good thing to do if you're really a lot older, just keep physically active. But this is a massive regret of a lot of people, I think. I think the next regret is retiring too early or too late. I mean, this can, everyone's different. Some people, are lucky and they have a job they absolutely love. And, I've met some people like this, and I'm like, I haven't really had that when I was younger. I was kind of I did jobs for work, and I think many, many people are like this. They do jobs just to earn the money, and they don't really enjoy it. Even if initially they started to enjoy it, and then later down the line, they don't really enjoy it. And, it's a bit of a shame. And if you're lucky enough to have a job where you enjoy your job, you can carry right on to a ripe old age, and it's okay. But, a lot of people do regret retiring too late. Because people say, oh, when you get to 65, hey, I'll go traveling, I'll do this, I'll do that. But you don't know what you're going to be like at 65. Some people look bloody awful at 65. They can hardly walk. Like, you know, it really depends how you look after yourself. You might not be able to go traveling as much as you want to do, or go hiking up this mountain, or go walking along this beach. You might not be able to do that as well as you want to do. And you might not have physical energy as much as you have now when you're like 50 or 60, you know. When you're 70, 80, you know, you do lose a bit of that. So you got to try and keep that as you get older, guys. And then some people get retiring too early. I mean, I suggest on here, you know, retiring at 50. And that's not for everyone. You know, everyone is very different. Some people have really got their act together earlier in life. Not me. I didn't. I was a nightmare. But, you know, a lot of people do get their act together, you know, or did, you know, in the 20s, and they really, you know, worked hard, 20 to 40. And then if you did that, then a lot of you will be in a situation where you have quite a bit of money by the time you're 50, you know. You can actually retire, you know, if you really worked hard. But yeah, other people like myself where, you know, I bummed around till I was nearly 40. And then it's okay, right, now to get me time to get my act together. So I'm kind of doing everything a bit opposite. And I had a late family as well. I kind of got married late. And I just saying everything's coming in my life late. So I'm going to be, you know, make money late. I had a kid late. You know, I didn't have Richie till I was like 42, 43, you know, my little lad now, and he's still only 6, and I'm pushing nearly 50 now. I'm thinking there's another, like, I don't know, 12, 13 years before he's even 18 to 20, which, you know, hopefully he can support himself by then. The other lad's a lot older, so he's okay, but... Oh, guys, can you just do us a massive favour? I don't ask much. Just press the subscribe button. It really helps the channel, guys. Just press the red button. It's free, thanks. Okay, and back to the video. Thank you. Getting the balance right, you know, not retiring too early or not leaving it too late that you're over the hill, you know. So that's up to yourself. And you want to make sure you're financially stable as well and secure in your future too. But, you know, if you can find some kind of hobby you can do when you retire. You know, I think a lot of people don't have a plan. This will go on to the next point. You know, a lot of people don't have a plan what they're going to do when they retire. They just think, oh, yeah, I'll retire at 55. I'll come to Thailand and live the dream. And it's like, well, what are you going to do over here? You know, everyday life, the same as it is, you know, in England, in America, in Australia, you know, you still do things that you do in everyday life. So you got to think, okay, what hobbies are you going to have out here? What are you going to do day-to-day life? You can't travel all the time. Yeah, you can travel a lot. But, you know, you can do other things as well. So think about the hobbies you're going to do. And, yeah, it's hard to work online. I know if you come over in a retirement visa, you can't actually work online. But some guys come over here at 50, 55, and they don't go on a retirement visa. They choose another type of visa where they could work online or do some other kind of work. I've known people come over here at 55 and start teaching, like for something to do for a few years till they're 60, and then they've switched over to a retirement visa. I've met a few people like that over the years that have never taught before. They came over here and then they started teaching for a few years, and then they're like, oh yeah, it was a bit of fun. And then a few years, and then, okay, I had enough of that, and then retire. You know, a bit of money for them. And you can do this. You don't always have to come on a retirement visa, and, you know, you can all come at different ages. I know that wouldn't be for everyone, guys. I know a lot of people just working, you know, saving up the pension and then coming out here, but there are lots of different options for people coming out in Thailand. But I mean, the most common one these days is doing something part-time online. You don't even have to be earning a full-time income. You can just be earning a little bit, like a few $100s a month, and it just, like, you got your pension already, and maybe it's not that big and you're a little bit worried. Then come over here, go on a DTV visa or go on another visa where you can work online, and then, you know, do this over here. It's always an option. I think the next one's a bit more of a serious one. You know, not connecting with people and getting lonely in retirement, especially coming over to somewhere like Thailand. You know, it is a very social place, but you still need to put yourself out there. As soon as you get over 30, it gets harder and harder to make new friends. It's like, will you be my friend, my friend? Will you be my friend, mate? You know, it feels a bit weird when you're a bit older, you know. And I made some good friends, you know, later in life, but it's taken a bit of proactive from myself to, you know, okay, should we go out and do something? I sometimes do have to say, okay, I'm going to go out this night and meet some friends. You know, this really actually, I think it helps your relationship, gives your missus a break. She probably wants a break. She probably wants a break from you, to be honest, guys. No, I'm only joking. But I think it does a relationship good to have a break. you know, we're going off track a little bit, but yeah, I think everyone, that's why you build a shed outside, so you can go and hide in the shed away from the missus half the time, innit? Right, let's get back to the video. I've gone off track. Friendships are really hard, and this, you know, in turn makes you more lonely. You know, everyone sits on the phone every night, and you know, everywhere, everyone's sitting on the phone, they're on the internet all the time now. It is a bit of an issue. Another one would be like carrying debt into retirement. Oh man, this is not a good idea. You know, when you retire, you know, you want to be able to clear all your debts, else you can't really retire. You know, you've got to carry on until all the debts are cleared. You know, you can't still really have a mortgage or anything else, then you're relying on someone else paying for you. You know, this is not good at all, you know, and it happens to some people, and then they have no choice. They have to keep working until they're like 70 or something like this. And yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, you know. Try and get rid of them debts, you know, as soon as you can, earlier in life. You know, don't accumulate massive debts after 50. Like, hopefully you're trying to get rid of debts, even though I've got some, but you know, try and get rid of them debts after 50. I can relate to some of this, you know, some of this I see in myself, and yeah, I'm trying to get rid of that now. You know, I'm trying to set myself up for the future with, you know, things I'm doing now, and I'm looking, okay, the next 10 years, you know, I'm going to be very successful, and I keep saying it. So it's going to happen, because whatever you keep talking about happens eventually, for sure, because that's just life. I think another regret is not pursuing passions you used to have and not keeping them going into retirement. Like, my mum used to paint a lot when she was younger, and then she had family and and now again she started painting again. You know, now she's she's 80 odd. She's been painting the last 20 years, to be honest, but from 60 she started, like, when the, you know, all those kids left home and everything, she started to paint again and doing one or two things that she used to do again. And I can see that in my own life. You know, you do things that you used to do and try and bring them back, because sometimes you lose a passion that you had ages ago, and then you start doing it again. You're like, God, I used to love that. You know, photography or something. You used to take pictures of things, and then, okay, not really done that. And then now suddenly you're back into photography again at an older age. A lot of people this happens to. They kind of reignite a new passion, and they wish they'd started this earlier. So this would be another regret, I think, of a lot of people. Here's the good news. You don't have to repeat the same mistakes. You can start early, planning about your health, prioritizing both your money and your health. You can build a retirement you actually enjoy. So which of these regrets hits the hardest? Drop it in the comments below here, guys, because your story could help someone else. I'll see you on the next video, guys. Take it easy.